Oh yeah. What's going on, everybody? So today I wanted to kind of switch it up a bit and just show you how to cook an incredibly glorious and perfect steak. Now I have to admit, I kind of despise when people use like the perfect this on all their titles, because I think perfect is relative and it's kind of a bunch of bullcrap. But the truth is, I want to show you how to cook your own perfect steak today. See, that is what it's all about, cooking a steak that is perfect for you. So I prefer to get a nice cut of meat instead of buying a lot of cheaper stuff for bulk. I'd rather just eat a tiny bit of meat and cook it so well that my mind is exploded even just with one slice. So today we're going to get into a bit of like how to cook the perfect steak for you, but also what I consider to be the perfect steak, which is medium rare. So when it comes to something like a New York strip or a ribeye, you definitely want to cook it medium rare. You just want to keep it super simple. Salt, pepper, a little bit of oil, and then some frickin' flames. I'm not really like cooking. This is kind of a dramatic effect here, this huge chuck roast, but you can see the ribeye to the right. I recently did this Kesha parody video, so I was cooking a bunch of stuff, and I had actually all these great steak footage, so I figured I'd show you guys a video. I don't know if you saw the Kesha parody video. It was a little bit controversial, but this steak we're gonna make today is gonna be freaking glorious, and you're gonna have a great time. It's gonna be so easy. Here we go. Get your flame on. Pat it dry. The reason I pat it dry is because if you don't pat your steak dry, what's gonna happen is that there's gonna be this moisture released into the pan, and it won't get the same sear. You'll be like boiling it or steaming it a little bit. So once it's patted dry, just salt and pepper on both sides, plus I add a little bit of oil. And the reason I add a shit ton of salt and pepper is because I want a crust. There's not going to be much salt getting in the inside, right? So when you get this huge crust, when you cut into it, like the kind of crust falls into the cuts, and oh my god, I'm telling you, just learning how to make a good steak, you don't need much. Like this steak right here, this could feed, honestly, I know it sounds absurd because a lot of people be like, that's just for me, but that could feed 3 people if you have a lot of other great things. So once you get your pan hot, just lay it down gently, just lay her down gently, you know what I'm saying? Might have to talk to it. So what I can do here is I can just let it cook on one side and the other and then be done. You can also cook it on one side and then the other, and then throw it in the oven if it's a thick cut and you don't want to burn. You just kind of want to sear that, the sides. So if you don't want it to burn and you're getting worried, just toss it in the oven at 350 for a few minutes. It'll cook nice and evenly. So the whole goal here is to give it a beautiful crust on both sides by searing it on nice and high, and then develop a feel for it so you know when it's ready to your liking. Just be aware that when you pull it, it's going to cook a little bit more on the table. This is kind of a cool trick that I learned. If you want to understand the doneness of steak and how it's supposed to feel, take your thumb and touch it to each finger, and then the space below your thumb gets softer or harder depending on which finger you're touching it on. So it kind of gives you a sense of like, if it's super rare, it's very soft, and if it's medium, it's a little harder, and if it's medium well, it's even harder. So kind of get a sense of the feel, and when you start to get a sense of how to feel your steak to know what you want done, it makes cooking so much easier. But it takes some practice, so don't fret if you screw it up. It's not a big deal. Okay, so one trick that I did learn by my favorite chef in the entire world, Heston Blumenthal. That dude blows my mind. He says to actually flip steak or like burgers every 30 seconds to a minute, maybe even to like 15 seconds. But what's happening is you're developing heat on both sides, so every time you go back to the other side, there's more heat there, so it can sear faster. I thought it was a pretty cool trick. He's very into like sciencey stuff, but you can also just keep it really simple. It's really up to you. No matter what you do, as long as you understand feel, it will be perfectly cooked. And like I said, if your steak is a little bit thick, toss it in the oven at like 350 for a few minutes. Sometimes if I'm cooking inside, I will take a flamethrower blowtorch thing and just crap that up. But here's the goal. I'm gonna start cutting this, and you're gonna see the most beautiful thing ever. See that right there? See the pinkness? Do you understand? There's a ring around the outside where the crust is kind of brown, and then it's just very evenly pink. There you go, all the way through it. And sometimes when you cut it, it doesn't look as pink until a few seconds when the air starts to oxidize, and then you see this thing, and you're just praying to the heavens because you're so happy that life can give you something so beautiful. Now, I know a lot of people love meat, and other people out there despise meat, but what I've learned is like, just eat a little bit of meat if you're gonna eat meat. You don't need that much. There's so much flavor. That animal gave you so much love. Honestly, I can take just a little bit, like 2 slices of that, and share that steak with 3 or 4 people because I add different sides and I add different things to it. And that's just something that I wanted to share with you guys. So I hope you had a beautiful day. And now we'll let Joshy Josh take you out with a song. Yeah, you can make a little steak and you can sear it up fine. You can cut it up together, you know, the pleasure's all mine. But for heaven's sake, don't overcook that beautiful meat, cause if you do, when you look over, I won't be in that seat. I'm just playing, all I care about is you having fun. We can cook a steak together, if it sucks I won't run. All that matters is that you are giving it your best. So fuck off with all those cooking shows that make cooking a test. It ain't no test, this is your life, and you can do anything you like. Get in the kitchen, have some fun. You take some risks, don't worry if it's done. And if you do, I'm telling you, you love to cook just like we do. At Brothers Green, we eat the scene, show you how to cook so you don't be mean. Respect your beef.